Hey, good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever. Welcome to Coffee Talk. It is just after Thanksgiving. We're here with you this week. Just Kevin and I. Jeff's away on holidays, we presume. Maybe he just ate so much turkey he's sleeping for a week. I don't know. But I think we're both kind of. I know I'm feeling like I love Thanksgiving. I really do. And it's just sometimes the week afterwards is it's a little different, right?
I felt like I had to balance a little bit. Okay, I know that I'm going for like a turkey dinner this afternoon. Mm-hmm. All right, we're getting up and we're going for a run,
100%,
or something like that. So we've tried to balance a little bit, and not that actually gives us then, because then you could also say, well, now I'm justified to overeat and be a pig, and yeah. But no, it was a really good Thanksgiving weekend.
It was
very enjoyable.
Yeah, for us too. I ate so much pumpkin pie, and I don't even feel bad about it. It's delicious.
Yeah.
And seasonal.
Great.
So away we go.
Let it rip.
Hey, there's, just because we might be feeling a little, post-Thanksgiving kind of sleepiness, there's still lots going on around church, and we want to make sure that you're with us and aware of everything happening. And I noticed today we got a new picture up on the wall.
Yep.
And that reminds me that they're still coming in, which is wonderful. It is so great. I love it when people come in on Sunday morning, and I know this is kind of awkward for filming, but they'll stand here like this with their back to everybody, and they're just like, oh, look at, and they're looking at faces, and that's the point, right? It's to help us understand. No, this is part of Lakeview, and we understand not everybody likes having their picture taken. Not everybody wants to send it in, but this is a good part of who we are these days, and this is lovely.
Yeah.
It's so great to see people, at least remind. Oh yeah, that's that person. It's great that people have been sending them in. Thank you for that, and let this be a reminder. If you've been thinking about it, hey, go out in the fall leaves and take a quick family selfie and send it in. It'd be great to have on our wall. We started mentioning shoeboxes last week.
Yep.
Quick little reminder, you can pick one up on Sunday. You can just give online. We've got 1 month to get them back. So, and more are coming in. If you're on the fence about picking one up because you don't know if we have enough, we've got lots and more are coming. So please feel free. We will have some on the counter in the foyer on Sunday. If you're coming to the service, you can grab one or 2 or 3 or 9 or 10 or whatever. Grab a bunch then. And we would also be happy to give them flat if that's just easier for you, and you can fold them up at home. That's all good. We just love to help share the love of Christ with kids around the world this year. Yeah. That's the whole point, and that's what we're inviting you to join us in. So want to bring that up.
And like we said last week, it's not just the shoe boxes, it's also the donation to cover the cost of shipping, which also you can go to that website and donate a whole shoebox as well too, if you aren't able to pack one at this point as well too. So all of those are options that can be taken and run with as well too.
Right, absolutely. You're holding a bookmark, Kevin. Why don't you, those of us who were here on Sunday or watched the service, joined online, might be familiar with it, but in case we missed it or haven't gotten caught up yet, tell us about this.
So for a couple weeks now, Jeff has been doing a series called Shine Like Stars, Living Life Together. And so the idea behind it for sure is this passage in Philippians 2 where we're told and reminded that then you will shine like stars, or you will shine among them like stars in the sky. And the whole point behind that is when we put on the nature of God in our relationships with one another, we are able to be a light to the world because Christ is working in us. And that sense of humility that Christ took on, that he could have stomped his foot and tried to be the be all end all. The only point was that he wanted to serve, and so that's what we're called to do. So to remind us of those things, and to kind of remind us through all that, and to kind of just say, hey, here's a little gift on Thanksgiving weekend. We just made this little bookmark, something to go into your Bible to say, this is who we're called to be. The other thing too is that we wanted to kind of have that sense of like we're actually in this together, because the series is really sharing life together, because that whole passage is begun with in the way that you relate to one another. And so even though we're looking at Christ and we're looking at this passage about him, the preface and the context is how we relate to one another. So the idea being that, you know, as a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken, we took this little thing and braided it together so that you can be reminded that we actually are sharing life together in all these things. And the passage very much is about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you know, 3 being one, right? So all that together. And so what that means too is that now we're using this as kind of a jumpstart also into our life groups and into the way that we're going to be challenging people to share life together now, because it's a whole thing to talk about it on Sunday morning. Now we need to put it into practice, and now we need to actually put flesh on that. And so that means really a lot of it comes down to sharing life together in a relationship with people. And so we see that happening through life groups. And so we've been putting out the call for people to join life groups. And so a lot of those have come in. If you still want to, you can, but what we're saying is this is kind of the end of our call. And so we're forming all these life groups together. And so you will be contacted in the next little bit about what life group you are in now that you've put your name in, and where that's going to go, and working it out on how that's all going to work together. But really we see people who have joined life groups and been a part of those groups, that their lives are continually changed, but also because they're grounded. And relationship with others is quite often how that happens. And so this is what we're going to be calling people to all throughout this year. Jeff keeps using these 3 things as well too. Looking back, looking up, and looking forward. And this is how your group is really going to be worked together and just getting into each other's lives in a positive and healthy way, but doing that surrounding God's word and through what we're studying on Sundays. So
awesome. Yeah, that's great. So I know I have developed over the years a bit of a habit, you might call it a bad habit, of screening phone calls, and if I don't recognize the number, maybe I don't answer. But if you signed up for a life group, maybe answer the call. It might be your new life group leader trying to reach out to you, or it might be Kevin saying, hey, here's, you know, some of the people in your group, or someone else from the church. So you can expect that. That's great. We look forward to connecting with maybe new people, maybe people we've been in a life group with before. Maybe it's new people to the church entirely. So it's awesome. We're really looking forward to that. One other thing, and maybe unless I'm missing something, but we also wanted to just, as we were chatting in staff this week, want to make sure that we are aware of some of the church, I guess, structure maybe. Really, simply put, we have a board meeting on Thursday, and that's not to remind. We're not saying that because we think if you're on the board you might have forgotten. We know you're there, but for all of us, all those who aren't part of that regularly, it can be easy to forget the leadership. It can be easy to forget that there's a whole group and team of people who are in the background, who aren't always visible. And we really want to invite you to be praying for them and lifting them up, and being aware that there's so many more leaders at Lakeview than 3 pastors. There's the whole deacons committee, and there's the church board, and then all the various committees that they represent. And with fall, with new ministries starting or old ministries resuming, and all of that goes on, it's a real time to be praying. And so that's what we wanted to invite, church. We wanted to invite you into just joining us in lifting up our leaders in prayer this week, this month, because we need it. And as a member of committees and a pastor, it definitely is something that we would really value. And so we wanted to remind you or inform you if you just weren't sure some of the leadership structure stuff, and invite you to pray with us in that.
Another thing that just kind of occurred to me as you were saying that too, that like this this group meets once a month. It's a regular thing. For some people who maybe have had bad church experience, they also might hear, oh, the board is meeting. Oh, something's happened, right? Like now we're all in trouble and there's going to be issues.
No.
It's not actually the case.
Right.
And yeah, there's serious things that sometimes we address, but it's the same idea month after month, that we actually just, same idea week after week. We breathe in, we breathe out.
Yeah.
We gather together, we work through some stuff, we talk about stuff, and we breathe out and we take it out into the world, and we work through that. And if you've come from a background where the only time a church board meets or something like, or only time there's a business meeting or a general meeting, oh, it's a serious thing. Well, that's actually not true. It's actually often just to get people together. It's also to celebrate. Sometimes even when we have a larger meeting with the whole church, it's not a big serious thing. Sometimes it's actually to either get people together or to add new members. People are just wanting to be a part and say, hey, I'm in, and it's an exciting thing. Or people who have just been baptized throughout this last year who are saying, hey, I want to be members as well. These are good things, and these are regular things that happen in the life of a church, and these are healthy things. And so we want to just continue encouraging that, but also to remind you that there's a whole host of people that stand, beside us. I'm going to say beside us.
They're not behind us.
They're not behind us.
That's a good way to put it. That's beside
Quite
us.
often they're actually beside us, and we kind of hold the line and we walk together, and it's a beautiful thing that we get to be. Some days we get to be the mouthpiece for, and so we want to just ask you to just pray for them and bless them and encourage them, because they also have a difficult job.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that job is recruiting others, and some of you might be going, "Oh, yeah, I used to be part of church leadership in a previous context, and maybe there's a role for you in that." And because it's a team that could grow, will grow, and I mean, typically we run an annual sort of thing, right? And we're in that season where we're already kind of looking at, okay, January, some of those committee commitments will be up and need to be replaced. And so one of the people at that board table represents the nominating committee, who by and large their job is getting to know members of Lakeview and figuring out their passions and ways they could be involved in service, and then actually asking you to consider serving. And so that's a committee especially we should be praying for regularly, especially in days where we feel disjointed, and sometimes we come together and go, who's new to Lakeview, and who's there, and what's their background, and we love getting to meet some of you on Sunday morning. It really helps us get to know people, because we love getting to know people, old people that we get to know better, new people that we're just starting to know. And so all that to say, again, be praying for our leaders at Lakeview, because I don't want to say this is more difficult than normal. I think every year has its own challenges, right? And so but we're just trying to faithfully lead Lakeview, and so please be praying. That would be awesome. And so I mean, it's funny on it. I know one of the things I regularly express gratitude for is our leaders at Lakeview, and that's part of why I think right after Thanksgiving I'm thinking this way a little bit, is because I know that sometimes at our Thanksgiving table we'll go around and say what we're thankful for, and I'll be honest, I never say the leaders of Lakeview, but in my heart I am, right? And I know, especially I come away from board meetings and deacons meetings going, I am so thankful for the leaders who have just been together, sharpening one another, but also really prayerfully considering what God is calling us to here in West Kelowna. And so,
and in essence also serving a lot of people, right? That's really what this group is a smaller amount serving the larger community. And so what that also means is that sense of gratitude that you've been given a gift of service sometimes, and when you come in on a Sunday morning and you haven't even seen it or noticed it, but there's people who are thinking about you and praying for you and working jobs in the background, right, to make sure that our Sunday gathering, our life groups, all the different ministries that meet all throughout the year are serving you and serving us, and it brings nothing but gratitude, I think, too. So.
Totally. And on that note, I mean, just to end on a note of thankfulness, we're thankful for you too, people of Lakeview who have not just spend a few minutes with us this morning, but who are, many of you whose faces are up here, many of you whose faces haven't come in, but you're part of Lakeview, and we just want to say thank you for being part of
And people
this
who also
place.
engage with us on social media in different ways too.
Absolutely.
So blessings on all of you.
We'll see you real soon.